How many hours have you spent playing Flash games as a kid? More specifically, how many hours have you spent on Newgrounds playing Flash games? These two questions are fairly different. There's a wide array of websites that host the same Flash games that Newgrounds has, but what if we looked at the proverbial console exclusives for Newgrounds? What are the greatest Flash games on Newgrounds in terms of cultural importance and significance to the history of the website? What contains iconic characters or completely changed Flash gaming as a whole? I'll be taking us through a slew of games that tell a story about Newgrounds and its unique identity. Arguably the most important and significant game on this list, it only makes sense that I talk about it first. Pico School lacks subtlety and is extremely rough around the edges, but that's to be expected from a Flash game from 1999. But let's go back to that time for a moment, before even the creation of the Flash portal. Created by founder of Newgrounds Tom Fulp, we play as the titular Pico in a very unenviable position. This is kind of a harsh thing to talk about in 2019, and really any present year, but this was a different time. And I mean a way different time. Pico School is a combination of a few genres. It's a point-and-click and shooter lumped into one weird, horribly violent, flashy homunculus. You solve puzzles, fight telepathic goths, and a cyber ninja in a bathroom and make complex ethical decisions that probably have some everlasting effect or something. Oh, and someone throws poop at you for some reason. Yeah, Tom Fulp made this in 1999. As you can tell, this game hasn't aged very well, especially with its content. I'm sure that this video will be redacted for even including this on the list and showing footage of it, but nevertheless, Pico School is a time capsule of what internet was back then. It was a decentralized and anarchic hellscape where you could only find stuff like this. The childlike wonder of discovering things from around the world, be it good or bad, felt like an adventure. We really don't get that anymore. Finding Pico School with your crappy dial-up internet must have been an adrenaline rush. Despite its obvious flaws in current year, this game still holds a lot of historical significance. Characters from the game would appear as iconography for Newgrounds, such as Pico once being used as the rating system, and others appearing in other cartoons. Even then, Pico Day exists as a celebration of Newgrounds and its history, with the new celebratory content being uploaded to the portal every year. So do yourself a favor and dive deep into internet history with this game, regardless of its problematic content. Oh hey, look!
More extreme violence!
Saying madness is iconic on Newgrounds is an understatement. From the original game to the seminal Project Nexus, madness iconography has littered the entire site for more than a decade. Madness as a series has an interesting history that I'd honestly like to save for its own video. But for the sake of this one, I'll go over some of the games in its initial concept created by Crinkles. On February 19th, 2002, Crinkles uploaded Marshmallow Madness onto the animation portal. Here is the thing in its entirety. This rudimentary and goofy animation would spark a phenomenon on the platform revolving around this franchise. Be it art, games, or animation, there is a slew of Madness-related content. The first game to come out from Crinkles and programmer Max Abernethy was Madness Interactive on August 26, 2003. I'm gonna be honest, I'm hot garbage at this game, and really, it's because of how old it is. Due to the fact that the mouse basically controls your hand movements, this game is very hard to properly play. Really, playing this in 2019 makes this game look like a dated travesty, but it's a start. Now, let me just cut to the chase and talk about the one you all expected me to talk about, Project Nexus. Oh man, I'm sure the majority of you watching this have already played this, and for good reason. It's probably one of the most fleshed out games on Newgrounds. Submitted to the Flash portal on March 25th, 2012, the game launched with a story campaign that is episode-based in addition to an arena mode with multiple characters and a bunch of newer weapons including previous entries' weapons. Project Nexus features 1.5 episodes worth of content, and for Newgrounds that's quite a lot. It's a fun shooty time, what Madness is really known for, being inspired by late 90s and early 2000s action films such as The Matrix. Project Nexus would help to solidify Madness as a staple of Newgrounds culture with Madness Day, starting in 2007, running all the way to today. The dedication to the series even spawned a 40-minute animated movie on Madness Day 2019 called Madness White Hank Zero: The Mulligan. The dedication to this weird web niche is just interesting and fascinating, so I don't want to dawdle on it too long since I want to make a separate video about it, so look out for that. But in the meantime, please check out Project Nexus if you haven't, and look out for the 3D remake coming to Steam in 2020. Before we talk about the big game made by the members of Behemoth on this list, we need to talk about Dan Paladin and Tom Fulp's Dad and Me. Submitted to the Flash portal on July 27, 2005 by Dan Paladin and Tom Fulp, this game is a pseudo-sequel to an earlier game called Chainsaw the Children from 2002, featuring one of the characters present in Dad and Me. This is a brawler slash beat 'em up that really took Flash to the next level at the time. In this game, you beat up children. Child ninjas, child whatever these things are. As this demon child, you can interact with your environment, rack up combos, and again, beat up children. Your goal is to get to the end of the level by beating up every child in sight. Is this video child-friendly, YouTube? Are you gonna retroactively make me a criminal after showing you this? I didn't think so. At the time, this game was considered nearly perfect. It currently holds a 4.68 out of 5 on Newgrounds, and its influence is still felt today. For a Flash game in 2005, you got something of quality on par with a game you would play on consoles at the time. Just really short. However, the shortness in the combo system gave a great incentive for the replay value. Digging into the reviews, I found that people were giving each other tips and tricks on new ways to play the game and ultimately get better at it. It would be an understatement to say that the game pushed Flash games to their absolute limits, in terms of gameplay and community interaction. In theory, Dad and Me feels like a brief proof of concept for Behemoth's future title, Castle Crashers. The combos and interactive objects are straight out of Dad and Me, along with Dad Paladin's idiosyncratic art style. Castle Crashers is a classic, but go ahead and take 15 minutes to play through Dad and Me, or another 15 minutes after that because the combo system is really addicting. Nevertheless, go play Dad and Me. This is a weird entry, because it's a little more personal to me. Interactive Buddy was created by Shock Value in and about and around 2004 from what I can gather. There's no concrete date when it was added to the internet, but I know it was added to Newgrounds a little later. I played a lot of this game when I was younger because it really tested what Flash games could do at the time. or maybe because I was sadistic or something. The game takes place in a monochromatic computer desktop with a very rudimentary and simply designed ball-shaped humanoid. As you play, in big air quotes, with your buddy, you earn money in which you can buy objects and skins. You could tell that this game was made in the mid-2000s because of the skin lineup. The hate boner that Newgrounds had for presidential candidates in 2004 was astounding. For the time, this was really impressive programming work for Flash. Interactive Buddy featured a lighting and physics engine that was surprisingly fluid and challenged what modern games had at the time as well. I mean, it's no Half-Life 2, but, you know, you gotta give it credit for this. Now, combine those things I just previously mentioned with the Modes menu, and you just unlocked a new dimension of this game. These modifications you can make in the game add more depth and complexity than most games of this genre around the time. Modes like realistic pyrotechnics, alternate body physics, and dynamic camera probably push computers from 2005 to their absolute limits. But what really makes this game ascend to legendary status is the ShockScript scripting engine. As the player, you can create your own effects and objects into the game. It even comes with a guide and its own proprietary language to learn. I'm not good at this stuff at all, so I found some resources from other sites to help me, and I got to create this nuke and an explosion that somehow lagged my PC. How crazy is it that there might be someone out there that got into coding and programming because of this little Flash game? Talk about a total life changer. Interactive Buddy is one of the most complex games of its time, and Shock Value's programming prowess still flexes on programmers and game designers alike today. Not many Flash games can call themselves games and tech demos simultaneously, while maintaining being fun and interesting. If there's any game that's gonna steal time away from you on this list, it's probably gonna be this one. Check this one out for its outstanding design. The Behemoth's debut title, Alien Hominid. What really can I say about this title that has been said before? Well, what people really haven't talked about is the original Flash version of the game from 2002. Alien Hominid from 2002 on Newgrounds is probably the most elaborately made demo for a game ever. Behemoth even refers to this iteration of the title as a prototype. A quote from Shack News from 2004 reads, "John had been playing the prototype on Newgrounds for a few months at work when he met Dan Paladin. Dan had just been hired by the company John was working for at the time. When it became apparent that their company was going to downsize, John came up with the idea of forming a company which made collectible console games and proposed to Tom and Dan to make Alien Hominid the first title in the series." In John's mind, it really wasn't a question of if Alien Hominid would be made into a console game, but when and by whom. Since we had the experience to make it, we decided we might as well do it and be the first to take a web game to the consoles. That innovation and ambition would later lead Behemoth to make games in the same vein and mentality of the Flash game makers, making such classics as Castle Crashers and Battle Block Theater. But beyond those little factoids, Alien Hominid is a side-scrolling platform a la Contra or Metal Slug. Like I said before, it's a demo because it only features one level and two bosses. Maybe I'm just really bad at video games, because this is a really hard level. I couldn't even get past the first boss. Hominid is just a throwback to the difficulty of games of this ilk. As I was playing this, I realized how cool this must have been in 2002. It feels like a fleshed out and polished Game Boy Advance game you can play in your browser. With what was to come with the full version, you could definitely see the full potential of the developers and how ahead of the curve they were. We would be introduced to an iconic character that would later be included in other Behemoth titles, and the final title on this list. last but not least, Newgrounds Rumble. How could this not be on the list? A fighting game with Newgrounds icons, especially one that is pretty well designed? For the time that this came out, we were pretty spoiled with great games already, but I can feel the passion and drive behind this game and its developers. Submitted by Lewis, Mindchamber, and Negative1 on May 28, 2007, we were privileged to be able to play as such characters as Alloy, Pico, Peabot, Nene, Samurai Asshole, Salad Fingers, Tankman, Alien Hominid, Hank, Convict, and Fancy Pants, along with a few unlockables along the way. For a Flash arena fighter, Newgrounds Rumble surprisingly holds a lot of value other than just being fan service for the site. Each character has different fighting style and a technique that makes interesting mashups and adds depth to the gameplay. Going through the campaign as different characters, they all have their own separate endings, showing what they did or did not do with the power they had with the portal. Most of them are pretty funny, such as Salad Fingers killing Peabody just for his medal, or Pico dying of herpes. Stay classy, Newgrounds, stay classy. Newgrounds Rumble is the ultimate celebration of this website. The characters, the stages, the music, and the design of all is a labor of love, even if it's basically a Digimon Rumble Arena knockoff. Just wanted to point that out since I love Digimon Rumble Arena. Nevertheless, I do believe that Newgrounds Rumble is what the site's culture ultimately culminated in. The passion of the creators on the website led them to create an adequately fleshed out fighting game, just for this dinky little site on the internet. These developers put more time and effort into this game than a lot of AAA developers allow their employees to put a fraction into. In fact, this game took the developers 2 entire years to create. That is some extreme dedication. This dedication didn't go unnoticed, seeing as the game has been viewed 10 million times and has a review score of 4.67 out of 5, congregated from about 3,200 reviews. I'm surprised there hasn't been a formal tourney for this game organized. I'm sure I'm wrong about that, but all I can find is some guy's videos with Slipknot playing in the background with the omnipresent unregistered Hypercam 2 watermark on the side. I guess the logistics of a tournament for this game would be nigh impossible due to it being a Flash game. Oh well, 2020 goal, get Newgrounds Rumble into EVO.
What is actually angry? Justin's turtle style. Overcome Rao. Now on the verge of putting Daigo down 1-0.
What is the future for Newgrounds? We really don't hear much about Newgrounds as much anymore, and it's unfortunate that it remains a relic of the internet to most people. I frequently visit Newgrounds because they honestly have done quite a bit since their heyday. With what's going on with YouTube right now, a video portal would absolutely bring amazing traffic to the website. However, I don't think Tom Fulp or the website can handle that. As for the games, however, Newgrounds currently sits as one of the best places to play Flash games. The state of Flash games as a medium is looking grim, with Flash as a dying format. This, in addition to how accessible and popular mobile games are now, completely negates a lot of the point of playing Flash games. Unless you actively hold Newgrounds Rumble tournaments in your school's computer lab, and we established that you probably don't. If you're my age, you now realize the power of phones can play a game like Fortnite, and that's a little mind-blowing considering what we just had 10 years ago was so rudimentary and primitive. We used to have to wait for these Flash games to load on our computers on subpar internet, and honestly I wouldn't have it any other way. However, there are newer Flash games on Newgrounds that are fun, and with the amount of game design knowledge passed through the years, way better games I would imagine than what is on this list. We have yet to share them and get them as well known as they should be on the platform. If you grew up with these games or were around when they came out, do yourself a favor and revisit these games while Flash is still stable before the transition. For those who haven't played these or even have any prior knowledge of these games before this video, do yourself a favor and indulge in some internet history. Newgrounds has been the breeding ground for many great creators over the years and has served as an inspiration to many creators. So do yourself a favor, regardless of your knowledge of these games, and take a trip over to Newgrounds right now and play these old and new games.